at the bar every night if you make $60,000 a year? Like,
I know.
And trust me, I've been at the bars. I have a lot of friends that hang out at the bars, and I'm a fucking bartender, part-time bartender. It's staggering the amount of money people spend
On
one
alcohol.
night on alcohol.
The
Just
worst-
trying to have a little fun and trying to
Literally
show off.
The worst drug of all time.
No.
Literally the worst drug. Like, for me, it's no
Yeah.
question. Alcohol is the worst drug.
Well, it's the
because
most prominent drug,
it's so
too.
prominent. It's so dangerous. It's so easily addictive. It's so easy to not realize you're addicted because of our culture. To me, it is the stem of so many problems in our culture.
No, and it's
in
built
America.
in. Like, it's almost a miracle that you and I aren't alcoholics because everything in the path is pointing us towards alcohol.
College
is
binge
a
drinking.
Yeah,
That's
college
all it
is a direct fucking sign to drinking.
Mhm.
And then the whole thing, when I think what really drives everybody's drug use is wanting to escape their mundane,
this prison of a reality that we've
when
created.
you find yourself in a place that you, like I said, it, God forbid, you don't like your job and you don't like your situation. Well, what's easier than digging out of that hole is just drinking, being content in that fucking hole and down in a bottle of
Numb
fucking whatever. Yeah.
Numb it down, baby. Numb it down. I don't want to feel nothing.
And meanwhile,
tonight.
you're sinking deeper and deeper.
Yep.
And
you're delaying it. You're not addressing the core issue that is causing
alcohol
it.
is so sneaky because, like, you can drink for a year or two and your body doesn't develop an addiction to it yet or a dependency on it. But then after a couple of years and just like out of the blue one day, you're like, I need a beer. Like, this is my, like, I'm like, like, no one likes the taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
You give a fucking 6-year-old a beer, he spits it out. He's like, what the fuck? No one would ever pick a beer over Kool-Aid, ever, over orange juice, over anything, and if it didn't get you drunk. But because it gets you drunk, your brain begins to associate the good nights and the good feelings with the taste of beer. And then people say, oh, man, I could really go for a beer. No,
you could really go for a drunk.
Yeah, you could really go for getting drunk. That's it. And then, no, man, I just want a couple beers. Okay, you can go for getting a little drunk.
You can go for a buzz.
But and that's the whole thing. And if it tasted like water and it got you drunk, everyone would be fucking dead. So there's a reason that it doesn't taste that good.
Yeah,
and that's
evolutionary.
Yeah,
wise,
evolutionary because otherwise you'd fucking drink so much and you just
Here's my proposal. Instead of drinking the next time you go out, if you're able to find it, just eat like 0.3 grams of mushrooms and tell me you don't have just as much fun while being way more conscious of what the fuck you're doing.
Oh my God, Kevin, that is so irresponsible for you to preach about psychedelics. There's probably a little kid listening and he's going to go take that. I'm like, all right, as if there's not fucking commercials for Budweiser everywhere. There's not
on the TV.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, there's still a stigma around psychedelics, but it's like, goddamn, is alcohol 1,000 times
worse and more accepted
and more accepted, more prominent.
Dude, not to mention mushrooms, like toxicity wise and overall harm, is literally the safest drug out of all drugs.
Yeah, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to end up in a psych ward. And that's kind of bad, but there's probably a reason you needed to go there.
So I was just listening to a podcast earlier today, and I think maybe it was Aubrey Marcus's podcast, actually. And they were talking about how mushrooms even has less psychotic breakdowns than cannabis. So like literally people get more like the famous cops who called the cops on themselves for eating brownies.
Oh,
yeah. I think we're dead. Yeah, we're dead. Like that guy had a worse freak out than I think you would if you had a reasonable amount of mushrooms.
Yeah.
And the overall like end result, even after a difficult trip, still is a net positive more so than like weed.
And it's like whatever. People are gonna say whatever the fuck they're gonna say. I don't give a fuck.
Honestly,
but mushrooms and LSD
best
fundamentally
drugs
changed my whole life. Completely changed my whole perspective on everything. Just like opened my eyes to so much shit. And it's just like, and I don't abuse these drugs. I'm not eating acid every day.
Dude, hell no.
I'm not even microdosing every week. I'm not even like, I don't have the supply to do that. So that's kind of the safe thing that's built into the system right now is like, it's hard enough to even find these drugs, which is unfortunate. But there's a lot of people that I'm like, there's a reason that the guy who made AA, he came up with the whole thing on LSD, and there's a reason that the last rule used to be
supposed to be take
LSD.
acid. Yeah.
Because it can just
and And LSD is like one of the most studied out of all the psychedelics. There's actually more information before they made it illegal.
Yeah.
There's more information about the effects psychotherapeutically of what it's able to do for helping people overcome addictions, overcome alcoholism, reprogram their brain, change the way that they view things. Like, I know it sounds crazy to the average person who's never done a psychedelic. You're thinking, oh my God, LSD, that's up there with heroin. Because people always love when they're like marijuana's a Schedule 1 drug, which is tied up there with heroin and blah, blah, blah,
right.
and LSD. I'm like, whoa. The first thing, sure. Yeah, Schedule 1. LSD, though, let's move that one down because that one's on par with mushrooms, honestly.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's a huge negative social stigma because Timothy Leary fucked up and he ruined the whole movement by trying to put it on everyone when I'm going to tell you right now, psychedelics are not for everybody.
Well, and that's the whole thing. So right now it's illegal, and someone's argument could be like, well, this kid had a psychotic break and jumped out the window and died. Okay, but how many fucking drunk drivers
just
kill
killed
people
somebody?
every weekend?
Yeah.
And we don't stop putting Budweiser commercials on TV. There's still Miller Lite
can't
fucking
make rules.
billboards everywhere.
You really can't make rules for the minimum. You got to make rules for the masses.
But I would honestly agree with like, yeah, maybe we should stop advertising alcohol so much when there is literally a drunk driving incident every single day. And someone dies from drinking alcohol every single day. And 90% of the billboards out there are for alcohol. So I get that it's not going to change because it's built into the whole economy and the whole system. But it's like, ooh, man, I don't know, LSD, with my open eyes, how I'm seeing the world. It's like, I kind of see they're controlling us with alcohol. And it's like, I wonder what percentage of the population is actually somehow dependent on alcohol. Not that you drink every night, but you drink socially on the weekends.
Well, there's different levels of alcoholism. So there are people who are the type who every time they drink, they black out because they just don't have a limit. Like they just keep going.
I used to love black.
Then there are people.
Not really. I've done some stupid shit.
Yeah, blackout's not fun. I've done it twice, and I mean.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I've gotten drunk. It's not to say I'm not like
I'm
gonna go get drunk as soon as this podcast is over.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not saints in that.
No, but I'll probably have a drink tonight over at the old Chicken Dolphin factory.
But in general, you and I really don't drink. I mean, we'll drink every once in a while on a special occasion, but like we use it the way that it's supposed to be used, which is just lightly.
Yeah.
Not the like coping mechanism that people have often used it for. But one thing that I want to make like that I think is important is just in general knowing that these psychedelic drugs, which are known to expand your mind, to raise your consciousness, to make you more aware of things that you might be doing, are the complete opposite fundamentally of the escapism that people often go with alcohol and even weed. Weed can be mind altering and mind opening, but it also can be used to numb things. And I've used it to numb myself before. I've used weed for that exact purpose.
Yeah. No, a lot of people do.
Yeah. So I think, and not to say you can't use psychedelics for escapism, but I will say it'd be pretty hard to just only like to do, like, I feel like even if you did it for like, let's say a stretch of time where you did it a little too much, you'll hit a point where you realize you need to take a break.
But what are you talking about, Kevin? You're escaping reality when you start tripping balls and you start seeing things that aren't there.
One, I don't see things that aren't there. And two, I find that I get more in touch with reality than I ever am in any other state, aside from meditation.
And that's the whole thing. It's like, dude, if you've never done psychedelics, you're not going to understand.
You can know what we're talking about.
I mean, before I ever did them, I was very intrigued because I heard about them, and it was still way different than what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like this thing based on everything I heard, and maybe in some ways it was close, but it was way different. And I think everyone's experience is different. But yeah, I mean, from what I've personally experienced with it, I'm like, bro, like, I want to scream it from the mountaintops,
dude.
Bro.
Yes.
Do mushrooms. It'll
Literally,
change your
it will
fucking life.
Change your
if
life.
you're depressed, you should probably do mushrooms.
I mean,
I'm not a doctor. Once again, what the fuck are you talking about?
We're
like,
not. You're not a physician.
But man,
or a physicist.
But people can look up the research that MAPS and all these places are doing, and they're using mushrooms for PTSD, anxiety, depression, and
MDMA too.
And they're saying it's
working.
And
MDMA is also like tricky because I find that MDMA, and keep in mind I've never done it, but I'm just basing it off of what like researchers are saying about it. Is that to me MDMA seems really good when in a controlled setting, not when you're taking it at a fucking rave. Okay, there's a difference.
There's a difference between set and settings.
Set and setting is
and
huge.
if you're using it as a tool, which I like to use a lot of these
Yes.
drugs as a tool. Like I'm like,
Not just a drug.
Yeah, it's not. Sometimes it's fun, recreational.
Yes.
And
Every once in a while.
Well, every time it's fun. Like
Yes,
no
it's
matter
always
what,
fun.
I'm having a good time. I'm laughing my ass off. But sometimes I've definitely tripped with the intention of like, man, I kind of feel a certain way, and
Yeah,
I
wanna
want to
work.
explore these feelings, and
Let's work through some
maybe
shit.
what can I figure out from this trip, and most of the time I get some answers, directly or indirectly that are like, oh, I should do this, I should do that, and then I do those things, and it's like, oh, holy fuck, the advice I got from the mushrooms, like,
Yeah.
completely put me in a better place. So it'd be foolish for me to try to take credit for that, to be like, oh yeah, I mean, I just got here,
I willed this all to my existence.
yeah,
And here's the thing though. It is your mind that is doing these things. However, these seem to unlock parts of your mind that are normally not accessible. That is where the psychedelics come in. It's not the drug itself that's doing it. It's the way that the drug allows your brain to perceive things differently.
Yeah.
That is the magic. And that's where people need to understand the difference, is that it's not like the drug just gives you all these insights. Your own brain gave you the insights, but the drug unlocked a part of your brain that you previously maybe were never accessing or never had access before, that allows you to see from a perspective you never saw before, that now makes you realize some of the unconscious behaviors that you may have been participating in.
And then it's on you to implement that shit.
Yeah,
and
you
not
could
just go back to not just go drink a bottle of fucking Jack
Right
and pass
after.
the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
You still have to,
You have to put in real work into fundamentally changing and altering the environment that you are in. Because if you're not creating the environment around you, then the environment is creating you. Whereas if you create the environment around you, the environment is still going to create you, but now it is creating it based off of something that you are intending.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the environment's already affecting you. And if that environment you're not controlling in any manner, then you are totally a victim to outside things, which goes back to what we were talking about of control. How much do you control? Well, you control the situations you place yourself in. And then from there, it's up to chance of the environment.
Well,
but there are easy ways to
and the
put
most
yourself in better
empowering thing
situations.
to me that is like a mantra and a philosophy that I live my life by is that you control your perspective, which is the most powerful thing. And so by that, I mean, you control your thoughts. Your thoughts generate your emotions create your actions. Then your actions create reactions that
On
then
the
create
environment.
thoughts. So it's this big loop. And if you just decide to take control of your thoughts, and when that negative self-talk pops up, whatever your weed's laced and your girlfriend's cheating on you, and you start going, fuck, man, my life fucking sucks. Realize that you're generating those thoughts. Your brain, it might seem like that it's this rampant, uncontrollable thing, but that's your fucking brain. And you can learn through like
stop that
meditation
cycle.
and just mindfulness. And that's why I wish they taught us this shit in school, because it's
Yes.
super helpful, is to be like me, to be able to identify that, like, oh wait, I'm being negative right now. Let me just switch this right quick, which is easier said than done, but it can be done. And it's like, I don't do it every time. Like, I still get in slumps and stuff,
Of
but I'm way
course.
better
Of
at this
course.
point because I've been practicing this shit for a minute.
Dude, for sure.
And
for sure.
it's like, I can really be like, oh, I don't want to feel that way, so I'm gonna stop thinking about that bullshit and fuck her. I'm not talking to her anymore, and I'm not buying weed from that guy ever again, man. Because I was tripping on PCP for it. To be clear, I've never had my
yeah,
weed
that's never
laced.
happened.